It says here that Prime Minister Binyamin Netanyahu instructed senior security officials to prepare an emergency plan to deal with settler violence against the IDF during an, quote, emergency session of the cabinet on Tuesday, today. The meeting was held the morning after last night's raid by scores of angry youth on an IDF base in Samaria who were angry at demolitions of homes that resulted in clashes with soldiers and damage to IDF vehicles. Police reinforcements were required to chase the youth from the base. Quote, no one can break the law. No one can raise a hand against the IDF or the police, Netanyahu said. This is the foundation of democracy. Land of Israel loyalists understand this. I will not tolerate such destructive behavior. These small events can spread into a great evil. I met with the heads of the justice and security systems. I requested an emergency plan. This evil must be stopped now. That's from Prime Minister Binyamin Netanyahu. And here to tell us more about what's happening, we have joining us a special guest tonight. We have Daniella Weiss. She's the former mayor of Kedumim, which is a community in the Samarian region. And she heads the Israeli youth in the settlement movement. Daniella Weiss was interviewed for Israel TV this evening. They talked about her and her reactions about this, about the recent violence against the soldiers. And this act of violence, the media is saying, has opened up a new reality to the IDF's relationship with Yesha youth, who, by the way, will probably soon be wearing IDF uniforms themselves when they turn 18 years old. Do we have Daniella Weiss with us? I don't hear Daniella.
Hear me now?
I hear you now.
Okay, very good.
Welcome to the show, Daniella. So what can you tell us about what happened last night?
Let me tell you, you and the listeners, that there is a very big distortion in this whole event. I would say that the distortion is of a historical size, and I will make myself clear immediately. Netanyahu, who is now so brave attacking the settlers, and he says he's speaking about the extremists and so on and so forth, but he took into his hand the dealing with this issue. He is the cause of everything that happened last night and everything that will ensue as a result of his horrible partition plan of the land of Israel. Netanyahu and Barak, who is doing the job for him in the area itself, he is responsible for everything that is taking place. You mentioned that I live in Kedumim. You should know that the army base that they speak about, where the clash was last night, is we are neighbors, the army base and the Kedumim. So I saw everything with my own eyes. I want you and I want everybody who listens to know that it is not an army base anymore. It was transformed into a camp from which the demolition forces take out. They start the acts of destroying settlements. I saw with my own eyes the bulldozers, the trucks, the buses that come to take the soldiers. I saw the ambulances, even the as we call the special ambulances. It was all preparation for the demolition of Ramat Gilad, which is 6-minute drive west of Kedumim. So you cannot call a place like this, which is it's a base for destruction. It's not an army base anymore. So when the youth try to prevent the trucks and the bulldozers and the army from leaving what was an army camp, that was a legitimate demonstrative act. Now, the reason Netanyahu and the army officers are exaggerating in every possible way, it is not because anything so special happened last night. It is because they noticed that what they thought would be an average size opposition to the demolition of outposts turned out to be a massive one. So Netanyahu and Barak understand that without drawing a picture of the settlers as aggressive, and this is why they demand of the leaders all the time to speak against the youth, while they know that the youth are the idealists, the hilltop youth are the best youth in Israel. They want to create a conflict between the leadership of Yesha and between the idealists. And all this is serving one purpose: to create, depict a distorted picture of the settler, so as to ease the way for demolishing settlements. And it might sound complicated, but it's a basic psychological thing. In order to psychological and ideological, in order to act against the normal, natural will of the Jewish nation. The Jewish nation, as the Minister of Education, Gideon Sa'ar, said today, is connected to Shiloh, is connected to Beit El, is connected to Shechem, is connected to Hebron. To tear us apart, to take us away from Shiloh. And this is Netanyahu's plan, to cut the country into two, half of it to give to the Arabs and half of it, less than half, to live in the hands of the Jews. This is against the nature of the Jewish nation. So how can he enhance such a distorted, abnormal, unnatural plan for the Jewish people? By lying. He does exactly what Sharon did. And what he takes the extreme, not the extreme right, the extreme left to his side, so he can enhance this plan. So he plays dirty, just as Sharon played dirty, and Netanyahu is playing even more dirty because he touches the heart. He touches Shiloh, he touches Beit El, he touches the very heart of the land of Israel. So if there is one to accuse, and there is one to accuse, is Netanyahu, and not the idealists that tried with their bodies to protect Ramat Gilad. And
I just want to say we're speaking with Daniella Weiss. She's the former mayor of Kedumim, which is in the Samarian region, and she's talking about the violence that took place last night between IDF troops and settler youth. I don't know, the Yesha youth, I should say. Mm-hmm. And I just wanted to comment or ask you a question, actually. Yeah. You said that basically that there's a well, I don't want to use the word conspiracy, but there's a desire, perhaps, to make the settler youth look bad and the settlers, period, look bad, so it makes it easier for them then to throw them out of their homes to the rest of the nation. And they're talking about the price tag kids and or price tag group, some type of mysterious group. They don't know who they are. And let me just read what it says here on Wikipedia about you and what you said about the price tag people and the price tag policy. On the Wikipedia page, it says Daniella Weiss rejected the price tag policy, saying that it had diverted settlers from what she considered to be their most important task, which is setting up additional caravans and tents to lay claim to even more hilltops in the West Bank, Judea and Samaria. She stated that the only price tag action acceptable to her is the establishment of a new outpost in response to every outpost that had been demolished by Israeli authorities. Do you want to comment on that?
It's true that my main interest is in building new outposts, and this is a part of the plan, of the big plan, to settle every single hill and every single area in Judea and Samaria, and not to be satisfied just with Netanyahu's minor plan of small settlement blocks. Yet, when we speak about the price tag or tag mechir, as they say, I will not condemn the people who, as a result of the terrible acts of Netanyahu, not the terrible acts of the settlers, but the terrible acts of Netanyahu against the law and against the law of nature, when they do certain extreme things like blocking roads or doing other things, I can fully understand it, and I will never speak against it, because I think that the one to blame for all this distortion is just the Prime Minister. And I think it is something like it should be emphasized time and again. Netanyahu was elected on the platform of the great Israel. The speech that he gave in the Bar-Ilan University was after the elections. So when people who voted for him voted for another agenda. And had he given that speech before the elections, he wouldn't have been a prime minister. So he started his second certain term with a big lie, with cheating the people who supported him and who believed in him. And he continues with it. So while people try to or think of accusing the youth, the youth are desperate in their effort to protect the land. And this is against a prime minister who is cheating and who's using distorted means and devices in order to impose his policy for which he wasn't elected on our nation.
Let me interrupt you here just a moment, Daniella, because I want to read from the Knesset.gov.il website, which is the policy. This is the Likud platform, I should say, for settlements. Listen to this. The Jewish communities in Judea and Samaria and Gaza are the realization of Zionist values. Settlement of the land is a clear expression of the unassailable right of the Jewish people to the land of Israel and constitutes an important asset in the defense of the vital interests of the state of Israel. The Likud will continue to strengthen and develop these communities and will prevent their uprooting. What do you have to say about that?
I don't have to say. I cry because it just, not that I'm looking for more proofs for what I said, because everybody knows it. What makes me really almost cry is that I think that everything is so obvious, that there is a prime minister who's cheating his own nation, and people go into side lanes and side paths instead of watching what he's doing in the main road. In the main road, he's selling our homeland. And he declared that he's going to do it. And people don't block him. So the youth that are subject of such attack, they did not attack an army base. They attacked a place from which the demolition forces started out. And as Moshe Zar, the person who founded Ramat Gilad, said, the father of Gilad, Hashem Yikom Damo, he said, the Minister of Defense cheated. And how can a man who's in the head of all the army can cheat? He said as long as there are negotiations, it's a pity there are negotiations altogether, but as long as there are negotiations about Ramat Gilad, no forces will come close to the place. And Barak wanted to do the same thing as he did in Beit HaShalom in Hebron. While people were speaking with him, he already sent the army. Now, Tamar, let's remember, the Prime Minister the Minister of Defense, the Chief of Staff, the Gantz, and the previous one, and the previous one, everyone said that the army will not be involved, cannot be involved in any demolition, any destruction of communities, and with taking Jews out of their home. It's out of the question for the army, which is the army of the people, and it shouldn't get involved in any political issue. And now to see an army base turning into a demolition base,
camp, demolition camp,
or whatever word we choose, it's it can really drive one crazy. And they say the army is not involved, and I'm telling you, Tamar, as I see it with my own eyes, the army is managing the entire demolition act. And let me remind people who are a bit closer to the idea that the army used terrible lie with the demolition of the Federman farm and with the demolition of Mitzpeh Avichai. One moment, please.
I know you're a busy woman. Again, we're speaking with Daniella Weiss. She's the former mayor of Kedumim, and she heads the Yesha Youth in building outposts all over the land of Israel. And she's with us telling us about her eyewitness account of some of the things that were going on yesterday at a base that was near her, that with demolition forces coming to trying to take down Ramat Gilad and other communities.
So I just wanted to make this other point clear, that all the heads of the government, the prime minister and the government and the chief of staff, everybody said the army should be out of this issue, and the army is heading it, is managing it. What used to be an army base turned into camp as Machane Re'im near Gush Katif. That it was army for which forces, bulldozers, ambulances, trucks, everything that went into Gush Katif. This is what they did in what they call it Tamar Ephraim. It wasn't serving any military, any security, any anti-terrorist act. And what I was beginning to say before, the army used lies in order to prevent the people of Kiryat Arba and the people of Beit El to come to help Migron, and then over there with the Federman and with Mitzpeh Avichai. And even last night, I want you to know, they told the mayor of Kedumim that they are recruiting forces in order to have a special targil, a special training
exercise, right?
Exercise just in case a soldier is kidnapped. So listen to this: the army uses the most base, shafel, low lies against the population that suffers from it most. They say there is a terrorist in Kiryat Arba. They say they are doing exercise to cope with the Arabs in connection with the September events that didn't take place, thank God. And last night, the training, exactly when Moshe Zar on his hill is so tense, and everybody is so tense. This is the time for the training to prevent the kidnapping of a soldier.
Daniella Weiss, we have to stop there only because we've run out of time. Thank you so much for joining us.
Let's hope
Stay strong and let all of Israel heal its wounds and work together. Thank you so much for being with us.
Bye-bye.
When we get back, ex-terrorist Walid Shoabat joins us, so stay tuned.